Good afternoon, Muskegon. Hello, I am your host for Torn Into, your show for news, information, and more. Don't touch that dial. We got a hot one today. As you know, we've been covering the council race in Muskegon Heights, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Thank you for listening on 103.7 live. If you would like to get involved and ask questions of our guest today, go to our Facebook pages, WVS 103.7 The Beat or M106. Let's go into the weather for this weekend and later during the week. Friday it's a lovely day. It's partly cloudy, high of 72, low of 64. Saturday, partly cloudy, low of 64, high of 54. Sunday, same conditions, high of 70, low of 57. Monday, same conditions, high of 75, low 55. Tuesday, same conditions, high of 75, low of 54. Wednesday, sunny. Thursday, sunny. Friday, sunny. Saturday, sunny. So great weather coming up. Listen, I encourage you to get involved. The idea of the day that I want to share with you guys is my thought for the day is go out and sow a seed. Go out and sow a seed. Plant a seed, a positive seed. I'm not talking about poison ivy. Go out and plant a positive seed. My guest today, of course, is the Honorable Pastor Melvin C. Burns, who serves as one of the co-hosts of the show. He helps me out a lot. And our guest today is going to be Julius Muhammad. We're going to be talking to these guys. I appreciate them being on. First of all, as Fred Hammond would say, put your hands together for my brothers here. Pastor Melvin C. Burns, Mr. Julius Muhammad, welcome to Torn Into for this September 24th. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Good afternoon.
Doing well, doing well, doing well. I'm so honored to be on your show, Mr. Roberts and Mr. Burns, to take this time to share with the listening audience a master plan, if you will,
Yes,
for Muskegon Heights, a torchlight, if you will, for Muskegon Heights. We want to come out of the darkness and out of the blight that exists in our community, and we want to bring it into a light and build the wasted city so that everybody can be proud and happy to be residents of Muskegon Heights, Michigan.
All right. That's a great opening statement. All right, Pastor Melvin Burns, shoot away.
Mr. Muhammad, it's good to have you on. Well, why don't we start off? Again, thanks for joining us today. Why don't you give folks a little background about yourself?
Oh, thank you. I'm somewhat of a new resident to Muskegon Heights. I've been living here now for 8 years. Okay. I moved from Denver, Colorado, where I was primarily raised. Spent my first venture with Michigan was in my teenage years, where I moved there and lived with my father for about 2 to 3 years. And I graduated from high school in Saginaw, Michigan. I moved back to Denver, Colorado, where I pursued my undergrad degree in learning at the Metropolitan State University of Colorado, where I received a Bachelor of Science degree in management. Mm-hmm. From there, I ventured out into being an entrepreneur and developing a few businesses for myself and opportunities as they existed and came up. I'm definitely a family man. I'm currently married to Marva Muhammad. I met her here in Muskegon, Michigan, and we have a child together. And I have, in total myself, I have 9 children and 4 grandchildren. So I'm a strong advocate of the foundation of any society, of any city, and that is family.
So you took that go forth and multiply and really went with it.
Well, yes, I tell you, we have to definitely pave that way for those youth that come behind us, man. And I tell you, it's one of the greatest joys just to see that child grow and learn and develop. And that's the greatest fun that I've literally ever experienced. And it's watching that child grow and develop and stumble and fall and learn the little things of life that grow us all up into us fine human beings. So it's great fun.
All right. So you find yourself here in Muskegon Heights. Up till now, what kind of activities and community events have you been involved in?
Well, I mean, the community as a whole, particularly in Muskegon Heights, I jokingly say, you know, it's 4 miles by 4 miles, if that. And so the city within itself is relatively small. I did, of course, like I said, being from Denver, Colorado, I lived about a year in Chicago and spent about 2 years in Detroit, in the big city. And so being in such a smaller city, I literally fell in love with the area. And the activity that I participate in is generally, I guess it's classified as grassroots work. And so I'm always in the streets, in the community, with the people, encouraging and motivating and inspiring to the best of my ability, giving hope to the residents that might have lost hope, giving inspiration to those who might have lost the inspiration that they need. So I go everywhere and anywhere that is possible. I participate as our host had mentioned about being involved. That's a big thing about me, is being involved. I just left the Muskegon Heights Farmers Market, where I volunteer down there to bring fresh produce, fruits and vegetables to our community. And there I get to meet many of the elders within the community, because they come out and show their support for the farmers market, because I believe the elders and most of our senior, particularly women, recognize the tremendous value of cooking fresh fruits and vegetables for their families.
As someone new to the community, I'm gonna ask you this, and we're gonna get to the campaign stuff. But what attracted you most to this community, and what things you said, well, I can see how we need to work on this?
The most attractive part of Muskegon Heights is its location. Its demographics is perfect, actually, for me. Being close to Lake Michigan, the access that I have to surrounding areas, also the historical spot of Muskegon Heights, meaning that within the Muskegon County, you know, literally every surrounding city, you pretty much have to come through Muskegon Heights to get there. I like the convenience of the city. If I wanted to go to a big city, I could always travel to Chicago or take 31 down south and visit with my mother in Alabama. I can go over to Detroit in a very small time. So I like the location. And then once again, I like the smallness of the city, because it's more, to me, an opportunity of really building neighborhood, really building that cohesiveness, really building that family and that friendly atmosphere that Muskegon Heights was originally known for.
Okay.
Mr. Muhammad, how important is neighborhood, having that village? How important is having that village?
It means everything. I mean, there's nothing more important than that neighborhood cohesiveness. it actually is the core part of the problem and the core of the solution. A lot of cities, as they develop themselves, focus on the buildings. They focus on housing. They focus on businesses. They focus on the infrastructure, which is good. But if you'll notice in many even bigger cities, the buildings are crumbling, the businesses are failing, the homes are collapsing, and the infrastructure is failing also.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most important element to any community is the human element, the human being, the citizens. So if we don't build the citizens, then as much business as we bring to a community, you will find that business not doing as good as it should. You will find the homes not flourishing and doing as good as they could, because we lose sight on the most important asset of any city, and that is the citizens.
Okay. Okay. So you're here in Muskegon, you're getting involved, you're meeting people, and all of a sudden it hits you one day that you decide you're going to run for council. Take us through this process that brought you to making this decision.
I think it goes back to that big word, involvement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me an opportunity to be more involved and more involved. And that's one thing that I ask everyone that I come across when I ask them for a vote or their vote and support for my candidacy in city council, is to get involved. Get
Okay.
involved with community activities. Get
Mhm.
involved with actions that are going on in City Hall. Get involved more so with the school system. Get involved with the businesses that are in our community. And let's hold each other accountable within the community. Get involved with your neighbor. Get
Mhm.
involved with your own block. You know,
Mhm.
get involved with everybody within the city. And so that's huge for me, is that involvement and participation in the life that we live. So if we have problems in our community, then the whole community needs to come and address that problem. If we have growth in the community, then all of the citizens need to find ways by which to benefit from that growth. We can't have one or two or three individuals benefiting in the society or in our city. We want the citizens of Muskegon Heights to all feel like they are a part of the growth and development of our city.
Okay.
Here's a question. Another question that I ask everyone is that how do we change the stigma? As you know, and as Pastor know, that Muskegon Heights has great people that get up, go to work, come home, make sure their family is fed, um, do that during the week. Sunday, Saturday, some activities. Sundays, go to church, and we have a lot of people that do that. But Muskegon has this stigma um, that they don't deserve. So, how do we change that?
Well, we got to reverse what has happened over time. That stigma has developed, and over time, the hope in the residents has been lost. Over time, the role of the church has kind of stepped back. Over time, the professional class, the professionals in our community have left the community over time. So over time, these type of things, the school system has declined over time. And so now we have to come to the point, which I believe we are, where we have an opportunity now to reverse that trend.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to get back to community activity. We got to get back to having a more influential role of the church in the community.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get back to partnering with the schools and bringing the children out of the schoolhouse and bringing them into the community to participate in community activities. We got to get back to bringing our professionals that have graduated from Muskegon Heights and the Muskegon school system and have gone on to college and got their degrees and they have flourishing businesses. We want you to come on back home, come on back to Muskegon Heights so that we can build back up what Muskegon once was. The number one problem, we have to build the wasted city. And if nobody else will do it, we have to invest in our own community. So we're asking the residents and the citizens of Muskegon Heights, if nobody else will do it, let us begin to pool our resources as citizens. Let the citizens begin to dot Broadway and dot Sherman with new businesses and put businesses on Peck Street. It's up to us to do it, and we can do it with that kind of spirit and drive. If it's been done once, mathematically, it can be done again.
Okay. All right. So, Greg, I'm driving home last Friday, right? And I met Mr. Muhammad maybe a month or so, 2 months ago. And I'm driving home last Friday, maybe 6:30. And I see him walking up Peck Street, knocking on doors. So, you know that too well, don't you, Greg?
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Wore out several shoes and several pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
I've been there.
So it made me smile to see you out there campaigning, Mr. Muhammad. But why don't you share with us? I don't know how, you've been out there a little bit. Tell us what kind of things you've learned getting out there, knocking on doors, talking to residents. I'm sorry. Did you hear me?
That has been, Mr. Burns, the greatest experience of learning the city that I could ever imagine. I have spoken to the heart of Muskegon Heights. I have spoken to residents who have been here for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. The oldest, I believe, she told me since 1935.
Okay.
Wow.
And so as I've knocked on these doors, Mr. Burns, also, I've gained so much support from the community that they're very thankful that I would come and visit with them. I've heard stories that in 30 years, in 40 years that I've been living in my home, in 20 years that I've been living in my home, Mr. Muhammad, nobody has came and knocked on my door running for this office and asked for my support and engaged with me about the condition of our city. And that to me means a lot to me, because my big thing is that those who are in city council, those of us who are city servants to the people, we can't get an office and disappear.
Right.
We can't get a position and disappear. We have to go back into the community and engage with the community and find out the true needs of the community and the true concerns of the community, because a lot of hope has been lost, Mr. Burns, in my opinion, in Muskegon Heights. Love in the heart of the citizens, not all of them, but many in Muskegon Heights, that love is going away in a sense. And so this is what I'm finding. Hope has been lost. The interest in the Muskegon Heights has been lost. And so we believe that change is coming. Change is here now. And we are giving our word to the citizens of Muskegon Heights that we will be able to reverse that trend as we continue on the path of block by block, door by door, citizen by citizen, until everyone, I believe, in Muskegon Heights becomes alive again, and we become that city of friendly people, that city of productivity, that city of life that it once was. We're going to do it again with the help of God and with the help of the citizens of Muskegon Heights.
Mr. Muhammad, I had a guy that I worked for, and he says, don't say problems, say opportunities.
There you go.
What opportunities do you see that need to be addressed in Muskegon Heights? And
Well,
join in the conversation, people. Give us the questions.
Yes. You know, Muskegon Heights is a big field. and it awaits the wide awake man and woman to work out in. Muskegon Heights has vast opportunities here. It has land that new houses can be built on. It has a business corridor that we can invite business into the community. We have a water filtration plant that is owned by the city that we can bring in industrial business so that we can build up our revenue. The opportunity here is huge. And so we have a master plan, if you will. And this master plan, as many of the citizens know, and everybody knows, that most cities have a master plan. But we believe that if we follow the plan, that Muskegon Heights can build itself back up to where it was, and we can enjoy the life that surrounding cities are enjoying. But the opportunity to do it here in Muskegon Heights is great. It's open, and the opportunity is there. So we're inviting the investors in, we're inviting business in. We want people to reconsider Muskegon Heights and come on and look at Muskegon Heights again and consider Muskegon Heights as your retirement place to retire. So we look forward to bringing people back to Muskegon Heights, building up our citizens, building up our housing, building up the businesses, cleaning up our infrastructure, cleaning up the blight, taking away the crime. We're going to do it all, but we need the help of the citizens as well.
Okay.
Pastor Burns?
Have you had a chance to attend council meetings in the past?
I have, yes.
Okay, I assume so. So you've kind of had a chance to follow council meetings and see some of the things going on. Are there some things going on you look at and you say, yeah, those are some things I see and I want to be a part of that, or some things you see and you go, I don't think that's the right direction for the city?
Well, I think that some of the decisions that some council members make are not good for the growth and development of the city. I think that because, as we know, the council is there to vote on the direction for the city. And when those votes are not in the best interest of the citizens of Muskegon Heights, I think that those type of things need to be looked at and strongly considered. So what I have heard from citizens, I've only been living in Muskegon Heights for 8 years now, is that this downward trend has been existing for over 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, and in some cases, well over 20 years. So I strongly believe that those who have been in office for long periods of time have been making, in my opinion, not the best of decisions for the citizens of Muskegon Heights.
Can you give us an example of one that you would think that would be a bad decision that was made?
Well, we right now in Muskegon Heights have a housing stock that, based on the analysis of the housing stock, there were in 2010 4,842 housing units in Muskegon Heights. Right now, I believe the number is 3,000, a little bit over 3,500 of housing units within the city of Muskegon Heights. We have a lot of land in Muskegon Heights, and we have a lot of vacant lots in Muskegon Heights. I think it's well over 1,000 vacant lots. We need to invite, and we have invited, investors in to build homes on these vacant lots. And that has been um, rejected by certain council members. And we had opportunity to bring these investors in that they would build homes on these vacant lots.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not agree with that because it gives Muskegon Heights an opportunity to build our tax revenue by bringing in new homes. We need nearly 100 to maybe 200 homes built from the ground up per year that we can build our revenue, build our tax base, and also invite citizens back into our city. And so it's those type of things that I think we need to seriously take a look at, and that we need to follow, I believe, very closely to this well-written master plan that has been written for us and given to us as a city, that it will give us a direction for growth and development.
Okay.
That's Burns.
Yeah, I know you've had a chance to attend the council meetings and you've seen the discourse. Maybe some of your thoughts on, people don't always agree. Maybe some of your thoughts on how you see yourself in that environment where people agree, they disagree sometimes. How do you manage that environment?
Well, I mean, you manage that environment by, of course, discussing, by communicating, and not necessarily, well, in a sense, and also negotiating, with one another. But we have to do it all based upon not our ego, not our self-interest, Mr. Burns, but we have to do it all with the best interest of the citizens in our minds. And if we can stop the infight, then I believe that the citizens of the community will also begin to stop the outfighting on the outside as well. But it starts, not that it just starts in City Hall, but it's definitely a big part, and it's an obvious problem that many people have addressed publicly about the discord that exists within City Hall. We need to find a way to get on the same page. We have to find a way to get in accord with one another, that we can move this city forward and stop the in-house fighting and put that to the side, just bottom line, and get to moving forward with productive things for our city.
Okay.
Okay, our first question from Michael Anthony Smith from Texas. Define the master plan. I have never heard of it.
Oh, well, it's on the city's website, actually. You can easily visit Muskegon Heights, the city of Muskegon Heights, and you can actually read for yourself the master plan. One thing that Mr. Roberts, you talked about, and I kind of emphasized it, is involvement and staying aware and staying informed. And one of the biggest platforms that I stand on is education. Be informed, know what's going on, research, ask questions, participate, and be a part of the solution, instead of, as we all know, many of us become the worst problem that exists within our cities, in our homes, and of course, in our own personal life, because we become our own worst enemy. And so the information is right there on the Muskegon Heights city's website. The public can access it. And it's a study that is done every 25 years. And when you look at thriving cities, whether it's New York or Los Angeles or Denver, Colorado, or Chicago, Illinois, or the surrounding cities around Muskegon Heights, Fruitport, Norton Shores, Muskegon itself, they all have a master plan. And this master plan comes from individuals and groups and companies that do the research to find out what would it take to build the city and continue the growth and development in the city. So I would encourage the questioner to just visit the website and read it there for yourself.
Now, this was a question last week, and I think it's only fair to give you the same question. Um, how do you think the city manager's doing?
I think that Mr. Bell is making a very good effort to, what I have found, to follow the master plan. As I've spoken to Mr. Bell and I've engaged with him on occasions, I have found out that after I began to study and read the study that has been done for our city, he's making an effort to implement those type of things. And I applaud him for that. I want to thank, not thank Mr. Bell, but I mean, our farmers market has got a grand improvement in which I'm very passionate about, because I believe that the health of our community is very important. We have to bring some fresh fruits and vegetables. So the farmers market has been done. We're starting a big cleanup in our downtown area. And that has been taking place over a few months. So I believe that Mr. Bell is putting forth a good effort as the city manager here in Muskegon Heights.
Pastor Burns.
Okay, so we're about 30 something minutes or so in, Mr. Muhammad. And as you know, as you say last night, there's 8 candidates running. Folks look at that list and go, okay, I've listed these people. Why should they, with their one of their 3 selections, go down to that box next to Julius Muhammad and pick you?
I think, and with the help of God, of course, I've gone into the community with pure love in my heart for the residents. I've engaged the community on a level that is almost saturating. I have knocked on their doors, as you have seen, Mr. Burns. Before I decided to run for city council, I was also always in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the people are loving what they see from me, because it's more than just a position. It's more than just my ego. It's more than just me stating that I've been here in Muskegon Heights all of my life and I love Muskegon Heights, which I do. I haven't been here all my life. But for me, Mr. Burns, I believe that the city welcomes a fresh perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they welcome the freshness of what I represent, and the dissatisfaction in the city is ready for change. And I believe that many of the residents believe that I, as a candidate for city council, will be the first step in that change that is going to come to Muskegon Heights. So
Let's go on with that. If you look at all the cities, townships, and all municipalities, everybody is dealing with some kind of crime spree. How do we deal with the crime spree in Muskegon Heights?
well, it's actually quite easy. It goes back to involvement.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to a man, or not man, but men and women becoming fearless, if you will. Partnering with the police as a community and policing our own community. We have to, as citizens, be more observant, more alert, more in tune with what's going on in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that we unite as citizens, then the thief, he stands out like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
The criminal stands out like a sore thumb. The drug dealers stand out like a sore thumb. And then we as a community just very, in a sense, straight up let them know that these type of activities are unwanted in our community.
Mm-hmm.
These type of activities will not be permitted in our community. And so I'm calling on the churches to come on out of the church and let's get into the streets. I'm calling on the community to come on out of your homes, and we have to get into the streets of our community where all the crime and all the drugs and all the problems is taking place. We're not going to solve the problem in office. And that's what I'm saying. We're not going to do it from the office.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get up out of our seats and go into the community, engage with the community, and let them know that we are not condoning this type of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I have many conversations with, I guess you'd call so-called drug dealers. Many conversations with so-called, I would call them organized groups, or many people would say gang members. I had many conversations with them and involvements with them, and they know who I am and they know what I represent. And they give me that type of respect. But the thing is that we as a community have to bond together. We have to come together in numbers. And I tell you, Mr. Roberts, our unity is more powerful than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Our unity is more powerful than a criminal. Our unity is more powerful than these young men carrying guns and weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So our unity in the community will stop that overnight.
Mm-hmm. Pastor Burns?
Yeah. So you've been out on the campaign trail. Tell me something that you've heard from people that surprises you didn't expect to hear.
Well,
Or maybe something you learned you didn't think you'd learn.
one thing that I didn't know about Muskegon Heights is, well, I think it was 1904, and his name is Kevin Cummins. He had shared with me that the first house that was built in Muskegon Heights, which Mr. Kevin Cummins owns, is a house on Peck Street that was also built in 1904.
Mm-hmm.
And the historical aspect of this home has not yet been established in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the history or the histories that I'm hearing from residents of Muskegon Heights is really beautiful. However, what it is, Mr. Burns, is that it's not documented. It's not written. It's not really, how can I put it?
Acknowledged as a historical
It's not
place.
acknowledged. Thank you, Mr.
Right.
Roberts.
Yeah.
There's not that acknowledgement that I would like see come from Muskegon Heights. So what our objective is and what our goal is to make that acknowledgments known. We need to really, in a sense, put Muskegon Heights back on the map, if you will. So, yes.
Just as an interesting side note, and I really agree with that point. But most people know about in 1968, when the Democratic Party almost split, and there were several people here from Muskegon Heights who were really involved in those discussions. Particularly some of the labor leaders happened to live in the house with one of those at the time, which I learned later. But they were quite influential in actually keeping the party from splitting in '68. And that was, again, just some history I've picked up, in my adult life. But I certainly agree with you that you learn these things talking to people who had an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent, but certainly they need to be acknowledged and documented, not just for Muskegon Heights' sake, but for our children, our grandchildren who sometimes don't realize this community they come from, and the roots and influences had, not just in West Michigan, but in our nation.
Mr. Muhammad, I think you are on to something that, like in my neighborhood, um, there's a historian named Ron Pesh that take tours and take people on tours in our neighborhood. Um, I think that same thing would be a great thing through Muskegon Heights because of the deep history and the people that have come from Muskegon Heights that you don't necessarily hear about, like you said, the history of Muskegon Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mr. Roberts, for those who have been born here, who have been raised here, that's very important, because if it's not documented, if it's not acknowledged, if it's not embraced, then it's almost written out of history.
Mm-hmm.
And so we must embrace that and bring back to Muskegon Heights that rich value of this community.
Mm-hmm.
I have found with Muskegon Heights, it's a very beautiful place. And the rareness of what I mean, that like we've got an area here called Mona Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that there are not other African American or Black communities in the United States that have this type of community, but it's a very unique area for Muskegon Heights that we have here in this area and in West Michigan. I mean, I think if not the only area of its type. And so the location of Muskegon Heights also is very strategically located. You can't get to any other city in Muskegon County without coming through or passing by Muskegon Heights. So the area that it's in is very unique, and it's very good for the residents, and it's very good for growth and development business-wise. And we believe that if we don't take full advantage of the opportunity that is laid before us, then I know for a fact other investors, other people who are interested in development and growth will come in and do that what is definitely needed right here in Muskegon Heights.
You mentioned Mona Lake, like people not knowing the history of what the name used to be, Black Lake.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But it goes back to what you were saying about knowing the history of Muskegon Heights.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Mr. Muhammad, do you think sometimes, you being a transplant here, that it's helped you maybe see things people don't see, or maybe things people have gotten complacent about? Do you think that's helped you in that regard?
You know, I have to mention, yeah, that's a very good question. To see things that maybe others are not seeing. Mrs. Thornton, I believe she's a longtime educator in Muskegon Heights. I happened to meet her at the Us Coffee Shop or Cafe, which is owned by her daughter, Kaya.
Yeah.
And getting to know Kaya and her wonderful self. And then I got to meet her mother, and she asked me a question. And she asked me what perspective, similar to what you're asking, Mr. Burns, what perspective or what insight do I bring from Denver, Colorado, where I was raised, to Muskegon Heights? And I thought about it overnight, and what came immediately to my mind is gentrification.
Okay.
Because the area that I grew up in Denver, Colorado, at one time was all Black.
Okay.
Now you go back to that area, it's all white. And so one thing that I see here in Muskegon Heights, where over 90% of the citizens are of African American heritage. The city hall, the elected officials are of African American race. That if we as a community do not pool our resources, intellectual resources, our educational resources, if we don't pool our financial resources, if we don't pool our togetherness and come into unity with one another, Mr. Burns, I must say that I can see a large degree of gentrification coming into this area in years to come if we don't get ourselves together and learn how important and valuable the area is that we are living on.
Okay.
Question for Texas, specifically, how will entice, I guess is, you see, how will entice investors to come to our city? I think, how will you entice investors to come to the city? And then after that question, what's your motivation for running in this community, Mr. Muhammad? And that's from Covington.
Okay. Well, of course, the goal of the city is to expand, current businesses in the city. We want to, of course, attract new business to the city. The city has many factors that are advantages, for economic development and opportunity. We have hundreds of city-owned residential lots that can be grouped together as package deals. We have waterfront development opportunities at Mona Lake. There's also a strong sense of community in Muskegon Heights. And there are, of course, these challenges that we have in the city, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity as well for investors. In fact, I have a home builder, a friend of mine who's in Chicago, who will be visiting here in Muskegon Heights October the 2nd. Mm-hmm. And he's coming to look at a lot of the land that is here that is undeveloped, where we can start possibly building some homes. So we want to invite all the investors to come. Of course, they're with the right situation, we can negotiate some tax breaks, and but we believe that we can do what we have to do to invite all the investors that want to take a look at Muskegon Heights to come in and take a look at us.
Now, what motivates you to run in the community?
It goes back to the involvement, Mr. Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the greatest motivation, is the citizens, and to do everything that I can to give hope to the citizens, to lift up our citizens, to improve the condition of the residents of Muskegon Heights. That's the main reason for me running for city council. It's not for me to have a position or for me to have some type of vain ego desire for myself. It's for the citizens of Muskegon Heights. I want to do as much as I can to assist and to help to bring about a change in this community.
Pastor Burns?
Okay. We always do this at the end of Russian, so we're going to do it now. If folks want to get in touch with you and want to talk to you, Mr. Muhammad, how can they reach you?
They can reach me. They can reach me on Facebook, Committee to Elect CTE, Julius Muhammad. They can actually email me, juliusmuhammad@gmail.com. And even more directly, they can call me. My personal cell phone number is 231-769-9182.
Okay.
Repeat that number, because maybe we can get it on the screen.
231, area code 231-769-9182.
Okay, we're down to the last 8 minutes. I'm sitting on the couch in Muskegon Heights, and it's election day, and I'm looking at 8, and we talked about this, but I need to know why I should get out my couch and go vote for Julius Muhammad.
Well, I tell a lot of the residents when I talk to them face to face that I'm here right now. I'm here with you. If I have to hold your hand, we hold hands, but we're talking right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get into office with your vote and your support, I'm not staying there, but I'm coming right back to your door. I'm coming right back to your concerns. I'm coming right back to the issues that you have as a citizen. I'm desirous of getting one seat, of course, in City Council. But like I tell the citizens of Muskegon Heights, if I have your support, if I have your backing, if I have the community's involvement and the community backing me in City Hall, then I can be their voice with the other city council members. And that will almost, in a sense, force the other city council members to do what the citizens of Muskegon Heights are asking for, and not for our own personal interest. So I believe that will be the strength of how I'll represent my candidacy.
I got another question for you. You mentioned churches, and you mentioned talking to gang members and getting out. It's no secret that the matriarchs, the women, have been covering and carrying a lot of city and churches and stuff like that. How do we get men to be talking to these younger guys about other choices?
Right. Very good question, because when we started this conversation, we talked about neighborhood, we talked about family, we talked about the core of what a city is, and that's family. The men are absent in the home. And many of our females or our women are single females that are heading up the household.
Mm-hmm.
So what now is required is that the men in the community have to unite with one another and then go to those young men who are not acting like men.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost becomes that you make them an offer that they can't refuse. And what I mean by that is that you show so much love and you show so much commitment and dedication to lifting our community up that is something that is unbreakable. So, Mr. Roberts, that's what has to take place. We have to call on the men in the community, and we have to ask them all the time, let us stand up. Let us be men. Let us show our community that we are ready to be responsible for what God has put us on this planet to do. And that's to be responsible for our women and our children, and to make our community a safe and decent place to live.
Another question. I'm not sure if you went over this already, which you have, but do you have a specific plan of impact to achieve the most I'm struggling today.
Constructive results.
Yeah, construction results. I'm sorry.
I'm not understanding that question.
Is there a way to cover the construction?
Constructive, brother. Constructive.
Constructive.
Is there a way to achieve the constructive results?
Yes.
I think if I understand the question, and I guess to answer that question is just to do it.
That answers that.
Yeah, I don't know how else to answer that one. We just have to do it.
Yeah.
All right, we have 3 minutes.
Mr. Muhammad, anything that we haven't asked you, we didn't, we think we're good, but we missed things you want to make sure that you tell the folks today?
Mr. Burns and Mr. Roberts, we have covered a lot of ground. And I just want to thank both of you for giving me the opportunity to be on this show, to share myself with your listening audience, and to give the audience a part of me so that they can realize that what I am after doing here in Muskegon Heights, with the support and the help of the community and representing the citizens of Muskegon Heights, is for the benefit of us all. And so I thank you once again for this opportunity, and I appreciate you. And I just thank you.
All right, Julius Muhammad, good luck, and thank you so much for coming on the show today. Pastor C. Burns the second, one of the twins, I want to thank you for coming on the show again. Take care, Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Burns, I
Yes,
got
sir.
one question, and we got 2 minutes to cover it. I mentioned it at the beginning.
Let me brace myself.
Oh, this was a simple. How important is it for us to go out this weekend and sow a positive seed?
Bro, that sounds tremendous, brother. Nice. It's like we have a nice fall weekend. There's a few activities in Muskegon, but you got a chance. Talk to some seniors. That's kind of been on my mind. Let's talk to some seniors around this community. Maybe visit somebody. Get out in the community, run to some people. Say something positive. Of course, there's plenty of negative. There's vaccines or sickness. Say something positive. Encourage somebody. Tell somebody that you appreciate them. And even Sunday, when you see your pastor, tell him thank him for the time and commitment he gave.
Well,
brother, you never get upset when somebody says something encouraging to you. You never get upset. And what a good weekend for it.
I want people to know this. The word that people really attach themselves to is their name. They hear their name and they attach something to it. They love to hear their name. People, go out and do something good for somebody. Every day. Just so that's and the world will be a better place. On that note, Pastor Burns, hey man, I love you, man. We're gonna cover these council seats for Muskegon Heights, and we will see you, Muskegon, torn into next week. Your show for news, information, and more. Take care and God bless.
Love you,
the second annual I Am Her Feminine Hygiene Drive, supporting young ladies from Ghana, Africa, in need of everyday essentials and feminine hygiene products, was a great success. Thanks to the generosity of our community and organizations like Period.org, Muskegon Heights Public School Academy, Confident Cosmetics,